This is Morning Edition on KUOW 94.9 Seattle. I'm Angela King. If you've been to a bar, restaurant, or seen a live show indoors recently, you may have been asked to show proof you've been vaccinated against COVID-19. Well, now just count on it. King County is going to require proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test at a variety of businesses starting in late October. KUOW's Eilish O'Neill is following this new requirement announced just yesterday. So what businesses are covered by the new rules?
So any indoor dining, not outdoor dining or takeout, and anything that's indoors and is considered non-essential. So that's things like theaters, or if you wanted to see live music or go to a gym to work out. In all those cases, you would need to show proof of vaccination, and also at outdoor events with more than 500 people.
And Eilish, we also had a chance to ask Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan about all of this. Here's what she had to say.
We want compliance and we want people to get vaccinated. This isn't meant to be a punitive thing at all. It's meant as a further protection for our community.
So how will business compliance with the new rules be enforced?
Pretty loosely and mostly based on a complaint-based system. How that played out with the mask mandate was there were parts of the county where people were already enthusiastic about masking, and in those places, businesses were also enthusiastic about enforcing mask mandates. And then there were parts of the county where people wanted to go into grocery stores and restaurants without masks on, and they were allowed to do so. It's not impossible that this could play out the same way with the vaccine mandates. In very heavily vaccinated areas like Seattle, businesses might be really good about checking people's vaccine cards. And then in parts of the county like Enumclaw, where the vaccination rates are much lower, I don't think it's impossible that businesses are also much less likely to check people's vaccination status at the door.
And I also pressed Mayor Durkan on this. Here's her response.
People are used to, before you can go into a bar, you got to show ID. And so part of showing the ID is showing here's something that shows I'm 21 and here's showing that I've got that I'm vaccinated. So I think if there are problems, we will do what we need to do to protect those businesses who are doing the right thing. Again, I'm really hopeful that we won't have those problems. They've been very infrequent in the city of Seattle. No one should be harassed for doing their job, particularly when their job is doing something trying to keep everybody else safe.
So how are business owners feeling about all of this?
It depends on the business owner. The Washington Hospitality Association, which represents restaurants across the state, says they feel scapegoated by this, that they don't like that the rules come into force on a different date depending on the size of the restaurant. And they said, COVID spreads everywhere. Why is there this particular rule for example, indoor dining and indoor entertainment? But then there are others who think that might serve as a motivating factor for people to finally go get vaccinated. This is John Scholes, the president and CEO of the Downtown Seattle Association.
The feedback I've gotten from members of the Downtown Seattle Association is that vaccine mandates are a good thing and can help us get over that hump to get to 90+% vaccination in Seattle and King County and put an end to this pandemic so that we can all move past it.
King County's public health officer said that he'll be reviewing this within 6 months. So he's hopeful that sometime next spring he'll be able to lift the order.
All right. KUOW's Eilish O'Neill, thank you for walking us through this.
Thanks so much for having me.
Some business owners have already been doing this, and my next guest says having this consistent rule in place puts her on firmer ground. Carla Leonardi owns Cafe Lago in Seattle's Mott Lake neighborhood. Carla, thank you for joining us, and good morning.
Angela, thanks so much for having me in.
Now, you were at the table as Mayor Durkan and county officials hashed out this new policy. What did you think when they first came to you with this proposal?
I was absolutely ecstatic. We've had that policy in Cafe Lago since the first week in August. We figured it out ourselves how to do it. It wasn't that hard. We did worry a bit about the legal implications of it. If someone was going to, be that upset about us to perhaps want to take us to court about it. but we went ahead and did it anyway. So it's really great to have the county's support backing us up in our decision to do this.
Do you know of other small business owners who were kind of hesitant about implementing a similar policy or chose not to because they had, some pretty reasonable legal questions?
Oh, sure. In a group, I belong to the Seattle Restaurant Alliance. There were several restaurants who expressed concern, who consulted with their lawyers, and a few lawyers said, no, don't do this. Don't do it yet because you're putting yourself at risk. And so they chose not to. But then there were a few other lawyers who read it a different way, who thought that as long as, you made reasonable accommodations for religious purposes or medical reasons, that you could implement the policy. So it was, it was a bit of a risk, but I chose to take it mostly for the health of my employees and their families.
So it sounds like your staff is prepared for this.
Oh, my staff was, they were the impetus for it. Mm-hmm. They were the ones who came to me and said, can we do this? Would you be willing to have this at Lago? They were more than willing to implement it. The hosts at the front door were willing to say, okay, we can handle asking for ID. I wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Okay. So you think you do have the tools in place to verify patrons' vaccination status?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not checking ID against the Vax card. Okay. We haven't taken it to that point. So there's room there for someone to cheat it, but we're going under the assumption that our customers are being straight up with us.
And you are hearing from some folks already this morning about what's going on and what's heading our way come October 25th.
Sure. Really, it's just a handful, though. The majority of folks are 100% for the mandate. They feel comfortable coming into a restaurant where they know everyone else is vaccinated. They know that it could significantly reduce the spread of COVID. So that's where they are. The few people who are dissenting are, it's to me, it's insignificant. It's a handful, really.
Mm-hmm. But you've received some, shall we say, colorful emails?
Yeah. The most colorful one coming in as a Facebook message to our page. That one I can't repeat on air, but a couple of emails. Nothing heinous. This one just says, hate to tell you, but we come up from Pierce County. Your support of an overreach law in vaccination cards is not your job or your place, but it is your choice and is ours as well to patronize. We will cease eating in King County. We are vaccinated as well. Good luck. So that one I see as interesting because these people are vaccinated. They're not against the vax. They're against showing your card.
Has COVID touched your life personally?
My son is a paramedic on the east side. He didn't have COVID, but he has been in contact with a lot of people and been helping a lot of people with COVID. So it has impacted me in that I worry for his health and well-being. I've had a couple of friends with mild cases, but been lucky over here.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to let our listeners know, Carla?
Everyone, please stay safe and consider everyone else in your life and around you.
Point well taken. Carla Leonardi is the owner of Cafe Lago in Seattle's Mott Lake neighborhood. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Angela. Talk soon.